Spurs 2, Man United 0, Marcel. First away game of the season. Excuse me. And we've lost poorly with mistakes, with wasted chances. And our woes on the road continue, man.
Yeah, it's been a problem from since last season with Erik ten Hag. The style of football that he's trying to obviously get us to play means that you've got to take a lot of risks on the forward line, and then the ambience of the crowd. I think he spoke about it last season, but just that intensity of having to play his front foot style, committing so many players into the forward line. It's difficult to play well on the transitional phases and to keep up with the play in the transitional phases, especially going backwards towards your goal defensively. And we saw us suffer because of that. The mistakes came from that kind of, those situations happening. Casemiro throwing his body, Garnacho losing the possession, then we're all having to chase back and people are not following their markers properly. And then obviously Martinez's goal, obviously unlucky, he kicks it in the net. But for 30 minutes spell in the first half, Lex, I think we really played well, man.
But that's the frustrating thing. Why are we getting that? 30 minutes was pretty good, but don't dominate, and as soon as don't score in that, and as soon as there's a little bit of adversity during that period, after that we can't keep it together.
Yeah, spineless right now. Spineless, the team's spineless. But we're also trying to risk things. When you're playing this 3-1-6, you're risking things. So you're always going to concede chances. But we've been seeing that from last season. Even when he tried to be pragmatic and hold the game in certain situations, or keep or try and save the game, we would still, throw away opportunities, away from home. So it's a massive problem that we, as a team, have to progress and get better as time goes on. But I can't see any way of fixing it, unfortunately, because even that midfield for me looked a lot better. For me personally, I wouldn't say it was as calamitous as people would make it out, especially in the first game.
So what's your thoughts on that midfield then, and the future of it? Because it's 2 games now. Obviously, Wolves was disgracefully bad. Today, today it was better for half an hour, but then we saw some of the same gaps. What's your thoughts of it long term?
Mason Mount's good. I think he played well. I think Casemiro is going to be the problem, unfortunately. For me, Casemiro wasn't Ten Hag's player, in the sense that he wanted a ball carrying. It's about player roles fitting this 3-1-6 system, and in that single player, he has to come out to be able to connect the 6 to the 3. Casemiro can't do that, especially with the ball carrying. He can do it with the long passing, but the ball carrying he can't. Amrabat should come in. Frankie de Jong should come in. That kind of ilk of footballer.
But just on that, Kobe mainly, but just on that, just before you carry on, some people would say, but we just spent 55 million plus add-ons on Mason Mount, so why didn't we get that?
Well, you need someone to accompany Bruno. Bruno was the water carrier in terms of creative opportunities and creative output. And then in the front line, if you haven't got Rashford on song, who else is going to press with that intensity? Yeah, Anthony's offering us that. But we want something, especially as Man United fans, from our wingers, we want something way more than what Anthony's kind of offering. It's good things. The defensive transitions, the fight, the tenacity, it's all good. But we want, aggressive on the ball, breaking the lines. What Palestri's offering.
Talk to me about Anthony.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But and I hope it gets better, because Ten Hag obviously sees something useful there. I don't know if it's meant to be like a Ziyech, where you're able to see the long passes, or you're able to clip crosses, clever little dinked crosses into the striker. Whatever it is that he thinks that he can see, he's not seeing it right now. He's not being able to be effective. So Palestri should really be starting.
Rashi. For ages, Rashi, we saying, does he want to be up front? He wants to be like a striker, etc. But he found his spot clearly at 30-odd goals last year from the left-hand side, some up front. But he's looking like the body language is a bit off, and the quality of his play really poor at the minute. A bad start to the season for Rashi.
Under Ralph, it was at that times, head sulking, couldn't for life of him, couldn't touch or control a ball, nothing. But I'm someone that thinks he can play up front and score 30 goals as a striker. But after when you see these kind of lethargic, poor performances, you can just tell he's a left winger. He's very single-minded, and we were saying that all last season. He doesn't feel connected part of the team, but he's affecting the team massively. So his contributions are big, but in terms of being a part of the jigsaw puzzle and the squad, he's not really. He's on his own. He's a single entity. So I think he needs to be on the wing. That's where you're able to do that and focus on your dribbles. We need the striker. It's been poor business from us, man, to buy a striker that we can't actually utilise. Marcel's given us a cameo for 10-15 minutes, but it's not. I mean, that's a positive, I guess, but it's not looking good, man. It's a bit worrying.
I know you always, with Bruno, always defend him.
Yep.
I know I think he is your favourite player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to be, man.
He's our captain now. Today, what did you make of him?
Sparkling performance the first 30 minutes, like we were saying, man. And it's weird because you can't praise that. That doesn't put 3 points on the board. That doesn't score you any goals. That does nothing. But it was 30 minutes where he looked really, really sharp, and the relationship between himself and Mason Mount was looking good. He was finding Garnacho. Garnacho had plenty of joy on the left wing, for the first 20 minutes or so. But, he just reverted back, not to type. I don't want to say it's type. It's an emotional state that he stays in when things are not going his way, and he wants things to happen for our club. So he just was rubbish, and he lost his head. A lot of the players lost their head. They switched into this mode.
Exactly.
The ambience of the crowd is what I like to. What Ten Hag referred it to. It's that energy of feeling like nobody wants us to play good football here. Nobody wants us to succeed here, and they buy into it. And then they start dropping their heads. Things don't go their way. Yellow cards start getting brandished, and then we kind of fizzle out the game.
The mentality, that's what I mean. As soon as there's a little bit of hardship in the game, as soon as there's a little bit of the opponent coming back into the game or the opponent dominating for a period, we can't seem to ride those periods out without capitulating. Silly. Like, look at the goals Spurs scored. Rubbish goals. It wasn't a moment of brilliant from Son and he's cut in, he's found the top corner. It wasn't a sweeping move and we got cut through and they're through 1-on-1. It wasn't anything of that. It was calamitous.
Yeah. It was really bad. But again, we lost it from the forward line. Garnacho, part of that 6 players trying to push up. He's tried to play the pass into the half space. It's been a poor quality pass. He's been doing that, when he starts games for a little while now. He needs to be able to come into and I think Sancho's there to push him. We should have seen Sancho. I don't know why.
I was going to say, should Sancho be playing?
I think he should. And I was saying that we should have sold him because I want a more dynamic. I want a more dynamic, more forward-thinking winger. We need the Ryan Giggs, those kind of type of wingers. But he should be starting. Every time he's come on, he looks fresh. He looks like he wants to play. He looks hungry. So hopefully that's a good headache for Ten Hag. Garnacho's not really giving what he needs to give now, but Sancho can step up hopefully.
Are you worried about us overall? Just lastly, I know it's game 2. Yeah. Weirdly, we've got more points than we did last year, which doesn't feel like it counts for much because we're playing. Well, we're not playing worse. No, last year was absolutely. This was 4-0, but this doesn't feel too dissimilar. But there were good moments in the game against Spurs, but we just didn't take them. But you're not worried going forward?
Come on, Fleck, man. We've watched plenty of Premier Leagues. We know that the standard should be the first 10 Premier League games. Have a look, understand fully what's going on, the patterns. I'm not worried at all. I said it already. We'll win every single home game at Old Trafford. So I'm expecting a win at Nottingham Forest. No problem.
Well, play like that, we won't.
No, even with that, imagine how we played against Wolves and we still managed to carry it over the line. It's a sign of a top club and we're going in the right direction. No doubt in my mind, we're going in the right direction. It's a sign of a top club and we'll continue to produce well. It's just, away from home, we have things to change.
What do you make of the criticism to Eric Ten Hag, actually? Some people just sort of saying, not anything over the top of like, oh, is he the guy? Just actually some of his decision making, transfers, etc.
You're not going to understand the genius at the beginning. You're never going to, because they're going to do things that are unconventional. They're going to want to put things in place that you're not going to understand. So this is going to take time, and we have to trust Ten Hag. You have to believe in that process. So we trust him and we see how long it takes, man.